Am I right thinking you went to Worlds when you were about 9?
Oh yeah, BMX, everyone hates everyone. Someone's punched me before at the finish line, so.
All right, we're back again with another MBUK podcast. As ever, we've got Rob Weaver here. How you doing, Rob?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I am all right. And today we've got downhill racer and former BMX racer too, Ethan Craik. How's it going, Ethan?
Doing well, thanks. Nice to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Excellent stuff. It's a pleasure. And of course, this episode is sponsored by Scott. Right, let's crack on though. So you're on the mend from a bit of an injury at the moment. How's that all going? When are you sort of expecting me back on the racecourse?
Yeah, so obviously pulled my Achilles off my foot, which wasn't ideal.
Oh, they go snap, don't they, when they go?
Yeah, they normally snap, but mine just pulled the bone off instead. It was a bit better for healing, but still not ideal.
But you needed a knot for that?
Yeah. Had a knot 2 weeks after. Would have had it sooner, but that was the first time they could do it. But yeah, it wasn't as bad as they thought it'd be, but took longer than they thought it would take. And had 3 months sort of immobilized, and then started physio, and now we're sort of back riding downhill, and it's going well so far. So,
okay. Yeah. Was it on the bike? What was the process for snapping it off?
Yeah, so it was on the bike. It was in Morzine.
Mm-hmm.
Literally day after the Leger World Cup, and just literally like probably the 6th run, first corner right at the top, just front wheel slid, and then my toe landed first on the downhill and like bent up and sideways. And then I instantly knew that something went right.
Floppy foot.
Yeah, well, it was just like, I've never had that amount of pain before. It was crazy. I've broken this ankle before, and I could bear it, but I knew something was worse because I almost passed out just from the pain. So,
oh my God.
Yeah.
So was that heli back off, or
no? They
made you walk off?
Yeah. So I was like 20 minutes of like screaming and all that, and then just the pain went, and I was like, okay, adrenaline's here, might as well get down now. So got lifted up the corner, back on the bike, sat on the bike, and then they pushed me to the lift, and then just went down the lift. So no helicopter. It was cheaper, but
yeah.
Save some money.
Yeah.
So it's good.
Yeah.
But you're getting back on it then, back on the bike, getting strong. Has the strength come back easily, or has it been a bit of a mission?
Yeah, so it's like it was 6 weeks in an Achilles boot, just getting back to sort of flat foot. So just stretching it out every 2 weeks, and then we started physio, and that's when it started to pick up quite a lot. And then mid-December, I started riding like trail bike trails, just down at the local mountain bike park on blue and greens, which
nice.
Was funner than expected. But now we're sort of each week, every ride it gets way better. And then last week sort of made a last minute decision to go to team camp and ride downhill bike for the first time, and it was actually all right. So
yeah,
now,
nice.
And then this week been discharged from physio, which was cool, and she just said, do whatever you want, you're all good. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Have you, I'm terrible at physio, and I find all that stretches, it's boring as hell, right? I'm presuming, I don't know if you find it really exciting or not, but is it something that you're going to continue doing, or are you just going to like crack on as you were?
Yeah, I've still got to continue doing it. I just don't have to go in and see my physio. So I've still got to do quite a few bits a day. But I was really excited to start it. It's sort of like every hour, set an alarm and get it all done. So yeah.
For someone so active, being laid up for 3 months, not being able to do what you're paid to do, can't be easy. How do you kind of get around that, get over it?
Watch the Olympics.
If it's nice. If I could have taken 3 weeks off at that point, I would have done.
That was the first 3 weeks, so it was actually all right.
Nice.
So literally just watch that for 12 hours a day.
Do you know, like an expert in fencing and curling? Not curling.
Get really into the ping pong.
Ping pong, yeah.
Anything that was on.
Wicked.
Just whack it on. But yeah, it wasn't my idea of fun.
No.
Sort of literally couldn't even go get a drink or anything like that. And every time I got up for the first couple of weeks and put my leg down, it was like super painful still. So yeah, I was really excited to get out of the boot and start carrying plates of food about and stuff.
Nice. We're talking about present day now, but can we go right back? I mean, it's not actually that far for you because you're quite young, but right back to when bikes started for you, and how did you actually get into it? How did you get into riding?
Yeah, so my dad, you know him. So he raced mountain bikes, motocross, anything on two wheels really. And my mum did horse riding, so it was horse riding or mountain bikes, and chose mountain bikes. We first got into like BMX racing, so that was at probably, I think it was 3 years old, and then started racing at like 5 or 4.
Okay.
So just down the BMX track. The local BMX track was 10 minutes away, so we'd go there pretty much any time we could get Dad drive us down.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, started from there.
I mean, you're kind of underplaying the BMX thing a little bit.
Yeah.
So maybe we need to just talk about the level that you competed at, because obviously first it was just club level, then regional, national, but it went a lot further than that, right?
Yeah. So at 6, I started racing nationals and stuff, and quickly got pretty decent at it. Ended up winning sort of, I think it was 6 national championships, and then getting onto the Olympic development team.
What does that look like? What does that even? What does the Olympic development team? What do you do as part of that?
Yeah, so it's like, I think I got on at 13 years old, I think.
Okay.
So pretty much just go up to Manchester every other week, go see the trainers there, train, sort of just get in that crowd, really. It's sort of just an introduction to what your life could be like if you went professional, and they'd look after you. And we just go up there every week, ride with the other kids that got selected, went to other tracks and trained with other people and used their trainers quite a lot. But it was all, looking back now, it was quite a lot at that age to do.
Because am I right thinking you went to Worlds when you were about 9, something like that?
Yeah, 8.
8.
Yeah.
First Worlds.
Yeah, my first Worlds was in Copenhagen, so we had to drive like 3 days in the camper. Well, the Sprinter with bunk beds in it, so that was fun. And got into the final, so I got a world plate. I got 6th because in the semi-final I was last and 4 people crashed, so I made it in.
If you're in, you're in, right?
Yeah. And I was like 8 years old, and I was the only one on flat pedals, so it was a bit like of a culture shock.
But a true BMXer, really.
Yeah, true. Yeah. My dad
keeping it real.
Dad didn't want me on clips that young.
Yeah.
And then got a couple other world finals as well. So I got 2nd in Birmingham as well when I was 9.
Wow.
Yeah.
And where did it progress from there then? What, teenage years, what were you sort of doing at that point?
So early teenage years was just still BMX racing and I went up an age group to compete against older boys, and sort of won a couple more championships in that age, and then I sort of just plateaued a bit with enthusiasm, really. Sort of got fed up a bit of, it's very similar like every other week. You just go ride the same track, so it's a bit, I got really bored of it.
Is there pressure to be, because I mean, I might be fairly naive to it because I don't know loads about BMX racing, but from what I have seen, it's a lot of gym-based stuff. Obviously, ridiculous skill and talent, but that in order to be at the top, the amount of time, squatting weights and all of that sort of stuff, it seems like a lot.
Yeah. I think when I did it, though, it wasn't really that. It hadn't got to that level yet where like we were doing that so young.
Okay.
So I didn't really go to the gym at all. Until like the year that I quit.
Tipped you over the edge.
Yeah. So it was more just riding, fitness, really, a few sprints during the week. And then whenever my dad could force me to do gates.
You didn't like doing gates?
Nah.
How come?
Just boring. I wanted to jump.
Yeah.
So I'd been notorious for coming out like 6th, 7th, first corner and then winning.
Okay.
I was kind of,
That was your thing.
yeah.
Nice.
There seems to be like, if you look at sort of cycling as a whole, you see sort of kids who are doing BMX getting strong and showing sort of promise. And it feels like the general narrative from British cycling is that they kind of push you towards the road and the track because that's where there's a lot of coverage, there's a bit more money and that sort of thing, there's a bit more potential prestige. But obviously you went the other way. Was there any pressure to get involved with track riding or on the road?
No, it never really got to that age. So I quit at 15.
Okay.
So it never really got to the age where they could put you in road or like track or anything.
Okay.
But there were people that are older, like 4 years older than me, that were transitioning to track.
Yeah.
And yeah, they've gone on to be world champions and stuff. So
Yeah, because you see a lot of the sort of those big road and track riders, and actually when you listen to history, they started in BMX or they started maybe in mountain biking.
Like Chris Hoy, right?
Well, yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
And they get channeled away. So
yeah,
probably a good thing then that you didn't.
no, yeah. I've always rode mountain bikes, so I had like a hardtail from a pretty young age, and sort of that was the fun activity, and BMX was, well, got to be the boring activity, so that was the natural choice for me.
So how did you sort of make that change in terms of, did you go straight into competition with mountain biking or did you just have a bit of fun for a few years?
Straight in. So the year that I was doing, well, I did 1 year where I did like both, but I just did the last national. It was the last one that Cy Payton did at Hopton, and I won it. So it was the first national, won it. I was like, might as well do that then.
Yeah. Kind of
It's
a good
really
sign.
hard. We have too many overachievers on this,
Yeah,
don't we?
yeah.
I mean, I suppose that's what makes it good, right?
Should we
But
just find some average people?
yeah, it'd be good for our egos, wouldn't it? Yeah. So what year would that have been?
That was probably 2017, I think.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
worried he was going to say. Because I looked at Roots and Rain and you can see there's just this string of first places and then it goes straight to a World Cup. And you're just like, okay, so maybe we should talk. So you went, you live in one of the least hilly places in the country. You race BMX. Obviously you've got an amazing skill base, some fitness there. You've ridden a bit of, mountain bike stuff, downhill, but not actual mountains.
Yeah.
You went and won a string of races, but all on relatively small hills, and then you transitioned straight into World Cup. How does that happen?
Yeah. Yeah, so I did, it was like before World Cups, it was pretty much Rogate races, Tidworth races, or FOD.
Because everything's pretty much under, 2 minutes, 1.5?
Yeah, 1.5, yeah. Well, Rogate is 40 seconds, so it was all those free races for like a few years alongside BMX. And then we did 2 years national, like when I was a youth, so 16 and 17. And like 1 year I spent the whole year injured, so it was like, that wasn't really a year.
Is that when you broke both arms?
Yeah, both arms, yeah.
At once?
Yeah. It's
Proper
a good time on
T-Rex,
the toilet. Yeah. It was,
God.
showering was not fun. But yeah, it was like transitioning to bigger tracks was hard. Like those 2 years in youth, I couldn't really string a race run together because I'm used to only focusing for like a minute, and now I've got to do it for 3 minutes. So it was quite hard to actually put a race run down. And that last national year, it was like finish one race because of like mechanicals and stuff like that. So
Right.
I was pretty lucky to get a junior contract.
Okay. In when you're racing the Nationals, were you racing at Fort William as well? Because I guess that is a World Cup track. Was that a noticeable difference from the other venues of that series, or is it actually quite similar?
So both years I was injured
For Fort William?
for Fort William.
Ah, right.
So I never rode it. So my first time riding it was at a World Cup.
Right, okay. So your first ever World Cup track was a World Cup?
Yeah.
Wow.
Bloody hell. Okay. So what bike were you riding at this point then? What did you start on and where did you, when you first went to World Cups, what were you riding?
Yeah, so the first downhill bike that I bought was a GT.
Okay.
So I had like a little expert full suspension one that I bought for £1,000, and it was off a mate, so it was perfect. I rode that for a year, and then I was on like a small team that we had BMX friends, and they ran a team for their son, and we joined that and got a common cell for a year. That was the year I did both my wrists.
Right.
And then went back to GT with Mark Noble for a year. He was kind enough to give me a bike, and then straight onto the World Cup team.
So which team was it that you went straight onto?
Yeah,
it was the
GT Factory Racing. Yeah.
So racing with Win Masters and that lot.
Yeah, Win, Noga, and Martin Mays.
Wow. Not a bad team to join.
And the Denim Destroyer, Johannes.
Yes.
Ah, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
How did you feel? Well, did you feel any sort of overlap between what you're doing on the BMX, what you're doing on the mountain bike? Do you think those skills transferred easily?
Yeah, 100%.
What sort of stuff in particular do you think?
Keeping your speed, like pumping as well.
Okay.
Pumping was the main one. Obviously jumps. Was never afraid of jumps on a mountain bike. And then I think just general bike handling. Took a little bit of time to get used to like proper route and rock gardens.
Okay. 'Cause you don't get them on BMX tracks, I guess.
No. So
I mean, they could spice things up.
Yeah. More interesting.
when they're wet, they're slippery.
Yeah.
No, it was hard to get used to those. So we just whenever, alongside BMX racing, it was literally just whenever we can go and ride. All winter was just mountain biking basically.
Okay.
So we got used to the routes and rocks pretty quickly. But yeah, going to the big tracks was a bit of a shock.
And being on a full factory team straight away, what did you manage to learn from your teammates? Did you learn anything?
Yeah, everything.
Nice.
Sort of just became a sponge really. I was pretty starstruck. Like the first team camp with them, it was like, oh my God, Win sat across from me, you know. It's like you watch them on YouTube and then you're on a team with them, so it's just getting bullied by them. But yeah. No, it was pretty wild to go onto a factory team straight away, and I was extremely fortunate to have that.
You spent the first sort of your formative years growing up with BMX, which I guess is, I don't know how long a BMX race is, 30 seconds? So
Yeah.
30 seconds of sprinting
Yeah.
into like, you know, I know you're not racing cross country maybe for an hour and a quarter, but a 3 to 4 minute, maybe a 5 minute track, it's quite physiologically different. I know you weren't training per se for downhill, but for BMX, did you find sort of moving to those long tracks different in terms of the fitness that you needed, or?
Yeah, it was a lot more full body, I'd say, and kind of a lot more on your arms and shoulders than BMX, because you use them, but not much. You just use your legs. You sprint out the gate, you sprint around the track, that's about it.
Yeah.
But a lot, mountain biking, you use your whole body literally the whole time and especially your core as well. It's just training for that was a lot different. And literally as soon as I got the contract through, I was like, right, need to train.
Yeah.
So signed up with Fit for Racing and got to proper training.
And your first year, 2020 World Cup, is that right? And you won the overall.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it must have been quite a strange year, because I know obviously there was the COVID disruption and stuff like that, but you still managed to take a winning loser.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And you clinched it. You know, you clinched the overall title, which must have been amazing. First year junior.
Yeah.
How did that feel?
Yeah.
It's mental. I didn't believe it really. I was sort of, we were at the finish and I won the 2 days before, but then we had the second race and I had no idea that I could have won the overall. So it was kind of like just racing. There was nothing in my mind about the overall or anything. And then we were doing all the calculations at the bottom of where Ocean needed to finish. And I think he got a flat. And I was just like, what? I was like looking over to people and they were doing like maths and stuff. And we were like, yeah, you got it.
That's insane.
Yeah. I just never thought, it's because of the year before, I was literally finished one race. I had no perception of where I'd be, like not even nationally, let alone World Cup riders. So going into that, I never expected to be winning.
And you mentioned Ocean O'Callaghan there. Who else were you competing against?
Yeah, it was Ocean, Gonzalo, my teammate now. I think he was in the running for the title.
Okay.
Dante Silva, Chris Grice, like Luke Williamson, and a load of others. Yeah,
some quite hefty names in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some good riders. Yeah.
What's it like race, in that sort of paddock? Is it quite a friendly atmosphere? Do you sort of get on with all those guys, or are you sort of quite focused in your team and, other things happen around?
Yeah, you talk to them in the uplift and anything, but I think because it was such a weird year, like you couldn't really.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't allowed to go to other people's pits to speak to them. And like you'd have masks on and stuff, so it'd be just awkward talking. Yeah, it was just they're all extremely friendly, and none of them are like you can't talk to them or anything. Like it was all good.
Yeah, no big egos, and I guess if anyone could have a big ego, it's the person who won. So
yeah, that's complete opposite. It's just you can talk to anyone, and everyone sort of literally everyone in the World Cup pits talk to each other, and there's no like hate really. So. And especially being new and everything, like not knowing anyone, it was kind of pretty easy. Yeah.
Nice.
Is that a similar vibe to the BMX scene as well then?
No.
Is it not? Okay.
No, it's BMX, everyone hates everyone.
Is it?
Yeah. There's only like...
It's because in bar-to-bar racing, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. Because like if you take someone out, like they want to punch you, so...
Okay, like competitive dads as well, maybe?
Yeah, and just families. Like there's some families that I've never talked to because I knew they hated me, so... Like someone punched me before at the finish line, so
really
that's how it is.
Wow,
oh my god!
It's because you're next to each other, and you can literally take each other out. Whereas mountain biking, you're against the clock.
Yeah.
So you win your first year junior overall, which is incredible. How did that feel going into the next year? Then did you feel you had pressure on your shoulders all of a sudden because you're still on GT?
Yeah.
Same team, same people around you. Did it feel like you had a target on your back?
No, that's not really how that team worked. There wasn't no pressure.
Okay.
It was kind of just do your best week in, week out. And then it was coming into the season, like obviously my goals had changed quite a lot because I won.
Yeah.
So it went from being like top 10 every race to top 3 every race.
Did you feel like you needed to do anything to achieve that top 3? Did anything really significant? Obviously, they had the result. But did anything significantly change in order for you to be able to do that, or do you think it was like a shift in mindset almost?
Yeah, I think just a shift in mindset and just believing in yourself.
Okay.
That's the main thing. Was probably me like.
Is that what you think the difference is from top 10 to top 3?
Yeah,
just that confidence and belief.
Yeah, the confidence. I don't know how to say it. Like not knowing your worth, but like believing you should be there.
Okay.
Almost.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
like
almost like you deserve it.
Yeah, like you deserve
yeah.
it. Like because I was top 3 in the junior, I was practicing in the elites.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to be like, I belong here when you've got Loic Bruni sat next to you.
Yeah.
When you stop in the middle of the track.
Yeah.
So I think just that mindset changed after the first year, and unfortunately got injured the week before the first World Cup, but that wasn't my fault. So.
And how was it then? At the end of that year, you had to obviously step up into elite. What's that shift like? Because I mean, I think a lot of us have seen the likes of Jackson and Jordan stepping up and being successful straight away, but I can't imagine it's an easy transition.
No, they've changed the expectations, I think, quite a lot. So now juniors coming into elites are expected to be like top 20 straight away. Whereas because I was the year before that, my first year in elite was kind of do your best. It wasn't like my times from Luso were like top 30 anyways. Okay. So I knew that I was gonna at least qualify and stuff.
But you had a top 10, didn't you, that year? I think
Mansanan.
Yeah.
Mansanan,
yeah.
7th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess if you've been practicing, with the elite guys in your final junior year because you're top 3, did that give you that insight as to what was going to be expected the next year in elite?
Yeah. I think just watching them operate, how they approach racing, at the top, warming up and stuff like that, and then also just analysing their race runs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like I'd mirror my race runs in junior to theirs on my phone and stuff to see where they're gaining quite a lot, and then try and make that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You strike me as quite an analytical sort of rider, and in your approach, not just to obviously, like you're saying, watching the race footage, but also I know your mechanic Rich, and he's been with you for quite a while now. And Rich is a very studious, switched on guy when it comes to tuning and setup and stuff like that. Do you think that's played a big role in what you've been doing?
Yeah, I mean, for me, there's always an opportunity to learn from anything. So I've always been quite analytical, and whenever someone posts a GoPro on a YouTube, I'll mirror mine, see where they're faster and where I'm faster.
Are you looking for differences, not just in line, but in how they're riding as well, potentially?
Yeah, mostly lines.
Okay. Do you ever sort of dig into technique too much, or not really?
I haven't really, because I don't like. Sometimes I've struggled with technique a little bit, but not like majorly. So I ride like pretty like strong and like core based.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the times I'm not. It may look like I'm out of control, but I'm not. like
I don't think so.
Yeah.
No.
Like sometimes people would say, "Oh, you're so loose," and I was like, "Nah, that weren't loose."
I'll show you loose.
Yeah. But I think just adapting and learning from anything you can, and especially with Rich, he's way more analytical than me. He's another level, so learning from him as well. And then that was a big thing, just like how to set up your bike.
Because he came on when you were on GT, didn't he?
Yeah, the last year.
Yeah. So what sort of stuff do you do with Rich?
Everything. So he, at that time, a few people were doing like data acquisition, but not many.
Mm-hmm.
And like if they were doing it, maybe they wouldn't understand it as well as they could. But Rich had done a few years before that with it, so he understood it quite well. And it was one of the main reasons I wanted to bring him on, because I was really interested in it. And yeah, we sort of did once a week pretty much for 3 months straight, just finding numbers on suspension that I like, suspension speeds.
Okay.
And now it's really easy to set my bike up at a race.
So are you the sort of rider that kind of has in their head and you know what you like, or are you happy to follow the data? And even if you don't necessarily feel you like how the bike rides, but it's quicker, would you go with that setup, if you see what I mean? Or do you try and find a sort of in between?
Yeah, I'm happy to follow the data. So he'll always suggest something, unless we get to a point where we're like, everything's perfect, which has happened a few times, but not all the time. So I'm happy to follow his suggestions, and I trust him. But then if it's like if it's like uncomfortable to ride and I'm not having a good time on it, but it is faster, then I think we'll try and find a compromise, even if it's not slower, but like, I don't know how to word it, but I won't ride an uncomfortable setting.
Okay.
Yeah. Because my main thing is feeling comfy on a bike.
Yeah. And you test a lot though, right? Because I bumped into you before last winter, I think, and
yeah,
I know Rich was pulling whatever hair he had left out because you'd changed, I don't know, something by a few millimeters and then decided to go back again.
Yeah.
So that you don't leave any stone unturned then, by the sounds of it.
No, we had a new bike as well, so it's kind of a lot to tick off. And we do this year as well. We have a new bike, so it's you have to these days. I expect everyone else to be doing what we're doing, so why shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Do you enjoy the process, or is it a bit frustrating?
I enjoy it. Yeah. For me, it's still riding a bike. It's not. It never comes to a point where we're like, oh, I got to go do testing. But I'm happy to test anything really, whether it's a small component or as big as suspension. It's kind of something that I really enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when you're doing testing, that's back-to-back runs on the same track all day. Change one little thing, change one little thing, change one little thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's quite an in-depth process then.
Yeah, it is. It's very. We like to get within 100 milliseconds or whatever on the suspension speeds that I like, so like the compression rebound speeds.
Right.
And it's sometimes that takes 3 or 4 runs, or it takes 12. So yeah.
Okay, so you have a preset definition of what you're trying to achieve on a given track.
Yeah.
Okay. So can you achieve those sort of those measurements when you go to a new World Cup track, for example? How much you only have limited time to do runs, surely. So is it tricky to get the setup right at a downhill course?
Not the way we do it now.
Okay.
How does it work? Because I know obviously Luik and those guys have a separate bike, a data bike that they just ride.
Yeah.
Do you have multiple bikes, or is it just a case of Rich can put the instruments onto one bike and you get that data quick enough? And
we have BYB.
Okay.
So we have that, and we just have one bike. I have a spare bike, but it's not like a data bike as Loic has. But it's takes, like on Poland last year, it took like 5 runs to get set up, and then when conditions change, we change, but we already have that worked out, so we'll go 10% either way on weather, and then sometimes I'll take 2 runs not thinking about the bike at all, just riding if it's a new track, because I'm obviously learning the track.
I was going to ask how much the data sort of side of it imposes on the learning the track side of it, because they're two competing things.
Yeah. When you go to a new track, so like when we went to Poland, the first run, it was kind of like deciding what settings to put on the bike was hard, as it always is on a new track. But then you have so much information, on the second run, you can make it 80% better, because you have that information right there, and you know what the bike is doing. And because you're not going fast in the first 2 runs, you're still learning the track and stuff. It's not a major distraction.
Okay. How soon before race run do you want to be at full speed? Like, how much time do you give yourself to be able to pretty much ride at race pace ahead of finals? Or do you feel like you're peaking when you get to finals? Is that as fast as you can go?
Yeah, I'm definitely peaking. But it takes different times.
Oh, depending on the track?
Depending on the track.
Okay.
Weather. Bike setup. It just takes... But I know when I'm there, and then I tail back 10%.
Yeah.
And then I'll do certain sections at 100%. Not 100, 95. So I can just feel what the bike will do, and just for my sake as well, just knowing I can go that fast in that section and that fast in that section and stuff like that.
Okay.
But as soon as you put a full run together and you get to that section and you go the same speed, you might not be able to because you're tired.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just working that out. But a full run in practice is kind of ideal, because then you can work it all out in your head and on the GoPro of how fast to go.
So how is it that a World Cup racer from the south of England, who's used to racing BMXs, can do so well at Mount St Anne, which is one of the longest, hardest, fastest, roughest tracks in the world? You seem to always go well. That obviously, you went from in your, I guess it was your second year, 2023 in elite, and then you ended up second place, final round, which is incredible.
Yeah, that is.
How does that work?
I don't know. I think. It's with me, like, the longer tracks the better.
Okay.
And the harder tracks the better.
So do you have like a favorite type of terrain you'd prefer to ride? If you could go out any day and ride anything, what would it be?
Like a World Cup track?
No, like if you could go out and ride, like would you go and do like a flowy sort of jump trail, or would you go and ride steep, technical, gnarly stuff?
Yeah, I'd ride gnarly stuff.
Okay.
Because I enjoy it way more.
Do you?
Yeah.
What about it do you think?
I think it's just I just like it when tracks are harder. It's just
a bit more thinking.
A bit more thinking, a bit more brain activity. I think riding a flow trail, I get real bored real easy. Yeah, I just don't like them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you feel when you go somewhere like Leogang, which has, I mean, I know it's got some pretty wild bits in there, but how do you stay like fully focused when you go onto that motorway bit, which is full of jumps? Surely that's almost like your bread and butter, that sort of section.
Yeah.
It should be, the stuff you're amazing at, right?
Yeah, but it's way harder than you think,
Okay.
that section, because you can lose so much time. If you case one of them,
Yeah.
you're dead.
So it's all about being
the
perfect
entrance-
on there.
Yeah, the entrance to it is a horrible route section. It's like stump section. So you got to get that perfect. And then you got to get all the jumps perfect and tuck at the right thing. So there's a lot more thinking that you actually think.
So it's not so much of a little rest period in the course.
You do rest, like that's kind of, you're recharging your body up, and breathing properly and stuff like that, to go into that next wood section. But yeah, it is harder than people think.
Yeah. Where do you spend a lot of your time sort of training outside of the race season? Are you a lot of the time in the gym or more time on the bike? And if you're on the bike, whereabouts do you like to ride? What's the vibe?
So a normal week is probably 2 times trail riding, just local. 4 times in the gym, a road ride or 2, and then 1 or 2 downhill days.
Wow, quite a lot.
But then I have to travel quite a lot, so that's why I probably don't do as much downhill as a lot of other people.
Okay. Oh, would you change that if you had the choice, do you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
I'd move somewhere that's hilly.
You say that, but then you go to the start of 2024, and I was looking at the Portuguese Cup results, because I remember seeing you were out there. I watched some of the practice videos, and then when the results came through, I was like, oh,
yeah,
okay, he means business. He's just smoked Luke Bruni, the new, and Loris Vergier, so the new current world champ.
Yeah.
So you switched teams. You were on Scott Factory Racing, which you're still on now, and you'd really sort of put down a heater and obviously showed your intent for 2024, which was pretty wild.
Yeah, it was a shock.
Oh, so you weren't expecting?
I wasn't expecting it.
Really?
I was like extremely ill 2 weeks before, and I was like, felt like death. So it's kind of just, I was speaking to my mental coach before traveling. I was like, I just want top 5 maybe, because it was quite a lot of good riders there.
There's some
like,
really big hitters.
There was a lot of good riders, so it was kind of quite a big shock to come down and then in qualies be 2.5 seconds in front, which with a run that I didn't think was good. So yeah.
Are the racers putting in like full gas into those early season races? I know it's obviously peaking, your training sort of peaks towards the World Cup season, but when you're at a Portuguese Cup, are people trying as hard as they can for that, or do they take it as a bit of time away from the real stresses? Or
I just think it's good. I use it to get back into a race regime, like get back into that race head. So I'm not going all out, and I don't think a lot of other people are going all out. You say that, and then you get to the top of a hill, and it's still a race.
Yeah, right. So as soon as those beeps go,
yeah, exactly. Like you hear them when you get to the top of the uplift, and you're like, might as well go fast. So I think people do try a lot harder than they say. But yeah, you go in not thinking like, oh, I need to win or whatever. Yeah.
Do you do much in terms of like simulating race runs? Because I know some people will go out and do like a full race simulation for a weekend. So then they're just kind of used to it. If you can't do a ton of like pre-season smaller races, some people will just go and practice that stuff and have the exact time as they'd have at a World Cup race weekend. Do you go out and kind of mimic any of that stuff?
We've done it before. Yeah, we went to after a race, we went to like a place in southern France to do some more testing because they introduced semis. It's more like trying to gauge my speed properly to not go to like find a quali speed, semi speed, and final speed. But I haven't done much race simulation before. I haven't done much of it really.
How did so after that success early 2024, how did that sort of translate into the rest of the year? Obviously you ended up injured. I know
Yeah.
that. But how did things go with the introduction of semis and stuff like that?
That was 2023.
Oh, sorry, it's 2023. But how did it go at the start of last year?
Yes. After that race, it didn't increase my expectations or anything like that because I knew
Still gonna be tough.
it was like it wasn't a big race, so I knew that World Cups are still a different level. And
But I guess you'd proven yourself in the previous year, though, right? Did
Yeah.
that change how you felt about it?
it changed. Yeah, I got second
Yeah,
at a World Cup, so my expectations did change quite a bit.
a bit like you were saying about earlier.
Yeah,
That sort of belief and
it's the belief that you could do it and you've done it before, so why can't you do it again, sort of thing. And it was kind of, it was just more proof that I could do it. It was kind of more evidence that I deserved to be there, and more evidence that I could do it again. And going into 2024, I wanted to be a top 10 consistent rider because I'd done that for the second half of the season.
yeah.
So
When did you bring on a sports psychologist or a mental coach?
that was I think midway through 2022. I'm not sure, actually. Maybe late 2022. And that changed the way I ride as well. So
What was the process for that then? How has it changed things?
yeah, so it was more working on, because from this is from stemming from BMX still, it was more kind of getting into a race ready head. Because you're against the clock and you don't have other people to gauge where you are, whereas on a BMX race, like, it's pretty easy to tell. So it's kind of working out how to get into that zone pretty consistently at the top of a warm up, and we worked out some exercises to do in my head and stuff, and I've got now procedure that I do an hour before,
Okay.
so everything's planned out. That gets me like into the flow state every time.
Are you happy to talk about it? What sort of thing do you do then in the hour before?
Yeah, so I just have words that I say to myself. I won't go into depth on them because it's just yeah. But I have like 4 words that I say over and over for an hour, and that gets me into a race ready state, and it gets my mind into like a position where I'm thinking about those 4 words in every single section. So yeah.
As someone who's never raced downhill, you often see people at the top of the course, they're sort of juggling or throwing balls at each other and catching stuff, or on a turbo train, they've got big headphones on, I'm presuming listen to, I don't know what
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift, yeah. Do you get into all of that as well? Do you sort of throw a ping pong ball around, or?
No, I've got
no, quite simply no.
Absolute rubbish.
I've got exercises that I do to get my body warm. Got some stuff mentally to do. Don't have headphones because I think, I don't know if it's controversial or not, but I think that takes your mind away from what you're doing. Like, you're singing along, having a good time, but like, you need to race in 20 minutes. Like, you need to get into that. And like, just hearing the environment around you, I think I've just always liked that, and to focus instead of like listening to
Michael Bublé,
Metallica or something.
He was. I can't remember. We were talking to someone about it a little while ago, and they were saying, was it Win? Was Win saying something on the video you just did?
I spent most of that video trying not to die. I don't know.
Win said something, didn't he? He was talking about.
He said you don't want to attack the track.
Yeah, you don't want to be too psyched up, right? So you got to listen to like jazz or something.
Yeah,
and just chill out.
Finn listens to smooth jazz tracks.
Oh, that was it.
Yeah, it makes sense, right? I mean, when I did it, I used to listen to Rage Against the Machine and crash straight away. first corner. Yeah, really good. Yeah. That's why I'm sat here and not there.
Yeah. I'm not interviewing you.
For me, it's all about calming myself down to race.
Yeah, that makes
not
sense.
Not getting psyched up.
Yeah.
But like, there's other riders like Ronan, for example,
He's terrifying. I mean,
is, like,
Jesus Christ.
the complete other end of the spectrum.
I don't know how he controls that.
Yeah,
I mean, I can control my bladder after 5 Red Bulls, let alone my body.
I mean,
So,
I think he's done it for his whole racing career, so now he can manage it.
yeah.
Just used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if I tried that first corner, I'd be
Feeling it.
yeah.
What's 2025 looking like for you? What are you looking forward to? What's the plan? What's the goal?
So now I've just planned out sort of the next 2 months riding wise. So I've got to get a bit more endurance up in my calf before I can race.
Mm-hmm.
I think we will do one race in a couple months and then another one. So I'll have probably 2 races before the World Cup season.
Do you have certain numbers you need to hit almost in terms of what you can do in the gym before you're confident to ride as fast as
No.
possible? As you just feel
Yeah, just feel
Okay.
like when I feel ready, I can
push?
go at that speed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You say you do a lot of trail bike riding and obviously a bit of downhill. Do you incorporate e-bikes into the training at all, especially post-injury? How's that been? I mean, I don't know.
Trail riding for me is e-bike.
Easy e-bike, right? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of when I say I'm going trail riding, it's never on.
Right, this is just a
Trail
prop, isn't
bike.
it?
Is it?
You've
Yeah.
never ridden this.
So why is that?
I think just I'm a downhill rider. Like I ride downhill, so I'm not,
Anything to make more down,
I'm
to
not
get
an
more
uphill
down.
rider.
Do you think the weight of the e-bike is a bit closer to the weight of a downhill bike? Perhaps do you find like on trail they have more similarities than maybe a big trail bike or a?
Yeah, even downhill, I prefer riding the e-bike.
Yeah.
Well, it does feel similar, but I think because you're not as tired or like as tired, you can put more into going downhill, so you have more fun. That's
Nice.
the way I look at it. Really.
I got one for you. You talked about how you're not afraid big jumps, stuff like that. Do you get jealous when you see stuff like hardline happening and you're not there?
Yeah,
'Cause it feels like quite an easy fit for you, right?
yeah. I really want to do the Tasmania one. Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks really good.
What about the Welsh one? Less so.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. No, I've been invited to do it before. I was going to go, but I had to attend something in America for GT. But did get invited, but
Okay.
couldn't go. Yeah.
Down the line. Outside of racing, like obviously racing is really important, but outside of that, you have to relax. You have to do other things. Like, what other things sort of tick your boxes? What else do you get up to?
Yeah. So I got a dog, so spend a lot of time with the dog. Golf. Like
Golf?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm probably going to get a lot of stick for this, but Lego.
Lego, great.
So yeah, I like doing that. Yeah, just
Lego's cool.
Yeah.
I went to Legoland. Yeah, I
I went-
bloody loved it. I mean,
been
I
there.
took my kids.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, I bloody
was a
loved
kid.
it. It's so good.
yeah, it's-
Genuinely so good.
I love it.
Bit of
brilliant.
Technic Lego.
Yeah.
Nice.
Do you get to take any of that along with you on races? Is that a good way to wind down then?
Yeah, I have taken.
Yeah.
I've taken some, or like bought it out there. Yeah, I do like it. Yeah.
Isn't that a bit of a bugger getting it back?
It is, yeah. Like,
You get one of the massive F1 cars.
yeah.
Carry on.
Yeah, I bought a mini F1 car in America, and then like getting it back, like loads of bits fell off, and then it took longer to find where they put than it did actually building it in the first
Yeah,
place.
compared to taking them out of the bag.
Surely the
right?
good thing
Yeah.
with Lego is that you could just take it apart and then you can get to build it again.
Yeah,
Should have done it like that.
yeah, probably.
Are you going to be the Lego coach?
Could be, yeah.
Nice. Nice. So we've got a few changes coming up for this year in terms of World Cup racing. How are you feeling about what Warner Brothers Discovery have done with the racing? I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot because it could be a bit tricky, but I suppose, yeah, what's your take on things as they are at the minute?
I think sort of what they've tried so far hasn't been amazing.
As in like the semis and stuff like
Yeah,
that?
that was just rubbish. I didn't think there was going to be any value of semis from the rider's perspective, and then also from their perspective. Like, I was injured one time and I watched it all on one day, and it was like by the end I got bored
Long. Yeah.
because it's like 6 hours of downhill riding. And I just think that what they've done this year is a bit better, like with the 20
And then the
first
LC kit.
round and then 10 in the second round, because like twice last year I had a mechanical in semis and I didn't get to
That
race
was it,
finals.
yeah.
So it's just like you do all that work and then you're just taken out by a pretty useless bit of racing that didn't need to be there last year, because last year there was no actual benefit from it.
Yeah, it didn't really serve a
They
purpose,
just kept
right?
it in there
Yeah.
because it was probably easier for them, which I understand. But yeah, I think they've done some good things and then they've done some bad things. So
Did that additional race run put a lot of stress on you, or a lot of stress on the racers?
it's just another time you can go 40 mile an hour into a tree.
Yeah.
So
Just upping that risk factor.
yeah, just the risk factor, and then just everything. It felt like it didn't flow. Like the whole weekend didn't really flow. It was all a
Okay.
rush. That's what I felt.
Okay. What aspects are you looking forward to this year in terms of getting back out there and racing? Are you still completely in love with it and excited as you always have been?
Yeah, because last year I think I was I should have podiumed in Leger but crashed in that last section. So that was kind of really annoying. And then the last day, and then the next day obviously injured myself. So
Yeah.
I've had so much time off racing and watching racing. It's like I want to race now. So I really am excited to get back on the World Cups. And then also I think with that first round of like 20 qualify, I think it should be a lot better, because most times that I've qualified it's been like top 15 or whatever.
Yeah.
Am I right in thinking there's more races this season?
Yeah.
Are you happy with that, or would you rather go back to 5 or 6?
No, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
More chance you can win.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm excited. 10 races and world champs. So
Yeah. Okay. What's your favourite? Which course are you looking forward to most this season?
Monza now.
Of course. There we go.
It is my favourite one. So yeah, that's.
So why is that? Because I mean, it looks horrible.
I don't know. I just agree. My riding style agrees with that track
Okay.
because it's not completely flat out. There are some bits that's like technical and slow, which you don't find much in a lot of World Cups now.
What about in those the sort of the lower rock section where there's some pretty sketchy gaps? How do you gauge that sort of risk and reward? Are you timing sections to work out whether they're worth doing, or are you just trying to do it in almost to tick it off from a confidence perspective?
I mean, a lot of the gaps are pretty like common sense.
Okay.
Like there's one that Greg Menard did first.
Yes.
That 1 year, and then now it's pretty standard to do it. Like that's way faster. So why not?
That's quite a big gap, right?
Yeah, it's big and really technical. Like if you mess up the entrance, yeah, it's not going to be good. Yeah.
Do you get scared like racing those tracks?
No.
Right.
No.
Why not?
Any pointers?
Yeah. No, I know I can ride it, and I'm going to go a speed that I'm not going to absolutely kill myself on. So I know I know what speed I can go without risking too much and being on that like really thin line. So yeah, I think it's just confidence in riding those tracks. Yeah.
If you were in charge of the UCI, how would you change downhill over the next sort of 5-10 years? What would you like to see? What would you pie in the sky stuff, like helicopters flying? I don't know. Like what do you want?
Just better tracks, really.
Being more Monson Ants, do you mean?
Not really. I think Montserrat is a really good track, but it could be a lot better. I think the tracks, I think they're too fast. No.
Okay, so you'd rather slow it down and make it more technical.
Yeah, like separate the riders, like you see in
Like it kind of used to be, right?
Yeah,
To a degree.
like what I grew up watching.
Yeah.
So like you go to Andorra and you're separated by tenths, not seconds. So and there's nothing really to separate the riders a lot from what they used to be. So yeah, just more technical. Yeah.
Any venues outside of racing that you've ridden that you think would make an amazing racetrack? Probably not Rogate.
Yeah, Rogate. Yeah.
Get the world's best down for a 30-second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I haven't really ridden much.
It's probably when you're so young.
Yeah. I think Pila.
Okay.
Yeah. Pila is really good. I really like that.
So yeah, they raced there 2005 and it was nuts. Yeah. That was cool. That would be a cool track.
There and it was mint.
Okay. Are you going to do any of the sort of the smaller continental series this year? Is that the plan?
Probably the Portuguese one.
Okay.
And then maybe one or two sprinkled in, but
nice.
That's the one that I'm planning on to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Perfect. Should we wrap
Well, at
up?
that point, we'll wrap up.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in, Ethan. Really appreciate all your time.
Yeah, just for having me.
Thanks, of course, to Scott for sponsoring the podcast. And thanks, everyone, for watching. And, of course, if you liked it, pop a comment down below, give us a like and all that sort of jazz. You know the score. And, yeah, thanks for watching.